Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about what classes and instances are within Python and how we can create our own classes and instances. So what is a class in Python? Well, classes allow us to create a type of an object and then create instances of that object. But what does that even mean, you may ask? Well, think of the object we're creating as, let's say, a car. In this class, we would define everything we know about cars. So, what do we know about cars? Well, typically they have a manufacturer, a weight, color, year it was created, and these are just a few that we could think of. Then we have instances of that class, which are branches off the main tree, if you will. So, for our car class, this could be like a 2017 Honda Civic or a 2013 Volkswagen Jetta. So, when we create our class, we are collecting all defining characteristics of our new object that we can think of. Then our instances are the items that can be defined by our class that we just created. We should also mention two other things quickly. That is, what is a method and an attribute of a class? So, a method within a Python class is a function that is a part of that class. Everything we previously learned about Python functions will apply to these methods. We are now just calling them methods because they are part of classes and not a standalone Python function. Attributes of a class are one of the defining characteristics that we talked about earlier. So, for some example, if we had some instance, like our 2017 Honda Civic for example, of our car class, then the weight would be an attribute of that instance of that class. Alright, so now that we have an understanding of what classes, instances, methods, and attributes are, let's create an example so that we can see how all this looks in actual Python code. The simplest class that we could make is just an empty class. To do this, we must define the class, so we do this by saying class and car, for example. Then in the nested code below, we just put a simple statement of pass, and this tells Python that our class is going to be an empty class. However, an empty class with no attributes and methods isn't too exciting. So let's add in a few attributes and methods to our class. We do this by creating a method, which remember is a function within our Python class. So the method we use at the first here is called init, or initialize, if you will. And it has two underscores on either side. We also must add in a parameter here called self, which will take our future instance's name as an argument for this parameter. This will make more sense shortly if you're still a little bit confused on it. Now, any other attributes we wanted to define for this class can be added as parameters here in our init method, like so. Let's add everything we listed earlier in the video about cars here now. Now, we just need a few statements that will take in the argument given to the init method and allow that to equal a variable, like so. Now that we have our car class created, which remember is basically just a layout or a blueprint if you will, for our future instances of that class. So let's create two instances of our car class. We begin by giving a name to our instances, so let's say Civic 2017 and Jetta 2013, as these are just two instances of our car class. Now, we type equals and then our class name, which is our way of telling Python this variable, Civic 2017, is going to be an instance of that car class, and that is how Python knows what is required for us to enter into these brackets here. Just note that you do not give an argument for the self parameter which we mentioned earlier. Python will automatically take the variable name, Civic 2017, as the argument for the self parameter. Then we enter our arguments for the attributes in order. Now that we have entered all of our relevant parameters, what would happen if we just printed this instance? Well, it just tells us that our object is stored in the memory. And if we actually print both of these instances, you can see that they point to different spots on the memory, and this is because they are two instances of the same class, but they are not the same. We can also print out specific things from our class, specific attributes, through adding a dot and then the name of the attribute you wish to call and print. So, if we wanted to know the color of our 2017 Civic, for example, we would enter this print statement here to achieve that. In the coming videos, we will cover much more about classes and instances, as there is a ton you can do with them in Python. This video was just meant to serve as an introduction to both the classes and instances within Python. Thank you for checking out this video, and I really hope it helped your understanding of what classes and instances are in Python and how you can begin to implement them into your Python code. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and consider checking out our Patreon page to support the channel. However, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about the information I provided in this video, please leave a comment down below and I will do my best to address your concerns.